Morning, welcome back to the Weekend Gardener. Bank holiday in the UK this weekend, so we've got an extra day off. But on the Monday, I'm going to focus on sorting out my garden at home. Spend all my time in the allotment. Unfortunately, my home garden is a little bit neglected, so I'm going to get that sorted out on Monday. But for Saturday and Sunday, I'm down at the plot, and as you can see behind me, I've moved some tomatoes into the new potting shed. And unfortunately, it's a little bit too warm in here, so I'm going to see if I can sort out some sort of opening window today, just as a temporary measure, and I can get something done properly for the winter. But there's just no ventilation, even with the door open. There's nowhere for the air to go, so some of the plants are suffering a little bit. And yesterday I came down and I got a lot of French beans, all my French beans planted out, and some of the flowers, because the things in the pots, with it being so warm, I just can't keep up with the watering. I water them in the morning. By the time I come down in the evening, they're bone dry again. So I'm going to get as much stuff as I can into the ground today. So that's the plan. See if we can sort out a window and get potted up, planted out and sorted out. Another thing I want to try and do is I've got some watermelons. I've only got 4, but I'm hoping that this year I can manage to bring them through and actually get some fruit. I've tried for the past 2 years and absolutely nothing. So this year could be the year. As you can see, the tomatoes in here are doing far better than the ones in the polytunnel and the greenhouse. That's probably because they haven't been potted on. Well, only once. They've not been put in the ground, so they're putting all their energy into growing. The Gardener's Delight has gone absolutely crazy. Roma, Moneymaker, the traditional varieties, they're doing really well. The beefsteak, there's actually a couple of flower heads forming on the Japanese Black Trifali. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can sort these out as well. I want to get as much done as I can before it gets too hot, because it's going to be 28, 29 degrees today. At the moment it's probably about 18 or 19, which is just perfect for getting gardening done. So before the afternoon heat comes, I'll get as much done as I can. I'll just show you what I got up to yesterday afternoon. This was the first bed that I planted up. So across there we've got 3 Pongo beans, are the only 3 that germinated. And then we've got 2 red swan, another 2 red swan, and 2 tender green. And then around the outside, along the back edge there, I've got some hollyhocks, and across the front here I've got some Lavatera. And then this is where I'm going to be putting my Monge 2, a white podded Monge 2. I'm not 100% sure what they are. I think they might be cornflower, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm going to put the peas in there, which are ready to go. I've just soaked the ground a little bit. And then at the back, I'm just going to pop 1 or 2 courgette plants. And then along here, I've just sown 2 rows of carrots, 2 rows of spring onion, 2 rows of beetroot, and got some spinach there. I'm thinking I'll probably clear this bed out now, and then that might be where I put the melons. I'm going to use the polycarbonates to make a frame for it, because I like it nice and warm, and I'll just water as required. I've noticed as well a lot of my red onions are starting to go to seed, so I might just snap the seed heads off and see if I can get another couple of weeks out of them. And then this onion bed, it's not doing terrible, but the red onions aren't doing very well. The onions I've grown from seed are looking far healthier. And then we'll have a look at the other bed with the Bedfordshire Champions in. So this is the bed with the Bedfordshire Champion in. Probably the best performing onions that I've got, but the cover is not tall enough. So I'm just going to make a box around it. I've got some Enviromesh. I'm just going to take it off the cage on the other plot and just raise it up by another foot or so to give the plants plenty of room to stretch out. So I'm going to have a little bit of a measure up, get the drill out and make something for that. But for now, it's taken a little bit longer than expected to build. It took about 3 hours in total. Most of that's been fighting with the Enviromesh, which just wanted to blow around all over the place. But I've got it done. That's one job done, and that's going to last for years now. I'm thinking I might put a fence. I have got a little fence across there. Put one across there in the coming months, because it was a bit precarious. I was worried I was going to fall once or twice, but it's up now and it's done. Now it's time to go home for my lunch. Good morning, welcome back. Sunday morning, it's about 22-23 degrees at the moment, 10 o'clock in the morning. So while it's reasonable inside the new shed slash greenhouse, I'm just going to get a few little jobs done. I'll show you what I've done and then we'll have a look at what I'm going to be doing. After a comment on last week's video from Sean's Garden, thank you very much for commenting, Sean, and all your support. His idea was to take out one of the polycarbonate panels and just cover over the window with some mesh, which is exactly what I've done. You can't see it there, but it's EnviroMesh across the top and the panels here. That'll just slot back in over winter and just hold it in place. I've also bought 4 plastic vents. I'm going to put one at the bottom there underneath the window, and then on the opposite side put one at the bottom there and one at the top, and that should just improve air circulation. And also I was going to clad the top of all this racking with wood, but to make a little bit more growing space, I'm just going to get another one of my grow bag trays, just pop it on the floor and should be able to get 6 tomatoes along here and make use of the space. So I'm just going to mark up the position for these vents, finish my cup of tea and get that done. And I've just drilled a series of holes. I haven't got my jigsaw with me today, so I can't join them all up to make a rectangle, but that's the idea. That should let a little bit of air through. And I'm just going to repeat the same process twice over for the lower vents, and then going to shut the door over and see what sort of temperatures we get up to. So I'll just get the plastic cover on and then we can have a look outside. That's the floor vent fitted and the upper vent, and I've got a floor vent on the other side. So that's that little job done. I was thinking about painting it, but it's probably about 28-29 degrees at the moment. It's far too hot to be painting. So I've got a nice little job in the shade. I've got, I think, 5, maybe 6 of these thick polycarbonate sheets that have been folded. They've been here since I took the plot on 3 years ago. I've never really used them for anything. But what I'm thinking is if I bolt them together into that sort of shape, they're going to make a nice bed cover, and I can cover over the bed, and that's where I'm going to put the watermelons. So I've just got to drill a couple of holes, bolt them together, give them a bit of a test fit, and then I've got to take out what's in this bed, which won't take long really. So I'll get my tools together, get that bolted together in the shade, and then we'll have a look when it's done. And then so that's a watermelon structure completed. Unfortunately, I've only got 5 of those little plastic covers, so I've just positioned them like that. It might make it a little bit easier for watering actually. I think it's going to do a good enough job, but it's far too hot outside for me now. I think it's around about 30 degrees. I'm not built for this sort of heat, so I'm going to head off home and find some shade and a cool beer, I think. So that's it for today. I'll pop that pack down tomorrow morning. Good morning, welcome back to Weekend Gardener. It's Bank Holiday Monday. Got an extra day off work, which is great. Going to spend it down. I'm going to be down here till about midday today. It's 7 o'clock in the morning currently. Plan for today is to get as much as I can into the ground. Things are drying out really quickly in this heat. Just can't keep on top of the watering, so once we're in the ground it's a little bit easier to control. So I'm going to put all the flowers into the new area on the new plot. I've just got to dig that over, and then I've got some courgettes and the melons to go in, and peas as well. Sorry, I forgot about the peas. I'm going to see if I can get all those in today. So it's a little bit of a mad rush before it gets too warm. It's just nice at the moment, so I'm going to get as much done as I can. Beans are already here. I might as well start with the bed where the watermelons are going to go. I'm going to be putting 4 watermelons in there. The bed's roughly 2 meters by 1 meter, so it might be a little bit crowded, but we're going to give it a go. And I've got some 6X, which is farmyard manure, because apparently watermelons like a well-fed soil which is free draining, so the raised bed's perfect for that. So I'm going to mix some of that into the planting holes, spread a little bit on top, and then get the 4 plants in. So you've just seen me plant the 4 watermelons. Unfortunately, I think I've damaged the stem on this one. It flopped over a little bit, so that one might not survive, but hopefully it'll pull through. And I've just got a length of pipe here. I've drilled some holes all the way along the length that will be under the ground anyway, and I'm going to push it in a little bit further, and then I'm going to water through the tubes. The only time I'm going to top water is when I plant them, just to get them settled in. But I've had problems in the past where the stems have rotted off where they meet with the soil. So if I can keep the surface as dry as possible and just water deep into the bed, I think the plants will appreciate that. So I'm just going to get that one sunk in, get the other one done, give it a good water, and then get the cover back on. Hopefully the melons will be happy in their new home and all 4 of them survive and produce some fruit for me this year. This is a bed already. I got the net up, got the canes up, did that last week. There's a few squashes that are coming up. I don't know whether they're cucumbers or pumpkins, so I've just left them in the bed. There must be the seeds are in the compost. So I'm just going to dig a trench, put a bit of 6X in the bottom, space the plants out equally, and then backfill the trench. And I'm going to find something to put over the top to stop the pigeons get to them until they get established. So let's get on with that now. On to the next little job. I've just got 2, I believe they're courgette plants. They were given to me by a fellow plot holder, and he wasn't 100% sure, but they look pretty courgette-y to me. It's either courgette or pumpkin. Either way, they'll be okay in this bed. I'm just going to put 2 in. It does get a little bit overcrowded when the comfrey gets going, and it's a little bit shady in the morning, but after about sort of 10 o'clock, this bed gets sun most of the day, so they should be okay in here. The 2 plants will fill the bed quite nicely. So I'll just take the cover off, work some of the 6X in, get rid of any surface weeds, and just get them planted. That's the 2 mystery plants in the ground. There you go, if you can get past the asparagus ferns. See those in, give them a good watering. Just leave them to it now. Right, let's move on to the next job. I think the first job is going to be to move all this rubbish from on top of the tarpaulin. And then I'm going to trim the grass around the edge, and then once that's trimmed, all the seed heads will fall onto the tarpaulin. Then when I move the tarpaulin out, I'm not spreading seeds everywhere. I'm going to leave the rhubarb plant where it is. So the plan is to come along the side where the rhubarb is and along the front. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this blackberry yet. I might put a temporary trellis in, just knock some posts into the corner and tie it off so that it gets a little bit of sun. Before I got started, I just wanted to sort the blackberry plant out. It turned into a bit of a job. All I've done is made a little trellis that runs along here. It's not going to last long, it's only knocked in roughly, but it gives the edge of the plot a nice border. I've taken up the tarpaulin, and so far what I'm seeing is mare's tail and bindweed, which are the 2 things you don't want to be seeing on your plot, but it's all over this site and it's easy enough to sort out. You just have to keep on top of it, keep digging away, and then eventually it just gives up. So now I've got my border and my edge. I can bring my flowers over and get some planted in, and it's just going to be a temporary bed for this year. That's about all I'm going to have time to do. So I'll just get this little area, get the trays over, dig out the worst of the mare's tail, and then get planting. That's a new little bed planted up. In the end I ended up digging until I got to the slabs. There's 3 tomato plants in there, not sure what they are, they're volunteers, and the rest is just full of flowers. So if they all survive and keep going, it's going to look lovely in a month or so. I've still got a few spares. I'm just going to take extras home and pop them up there. So it's just time to tidy up and head off home. So that's all for this week. I shall see you again next week.